Hello everybody, Mannix here. It's time for a folding knife collection video. I'm just going to show you all the folding knives I currently have, or pretty much all the ones I have. My collection has amped up a little bit since I last did one of these about half a year ago. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like to see knife reviews, knife videos in general, EDC, gear, flashlight videos, etc. I got a lot of stuff you can look through. And if you'd like to see knife reviews on any one of these knives, I have links in the description. Alright, let's wing this. I'm going to start with the cheaper stuff, and I'm going to just kind of breeze through these because there's quite a bit to show here. This is an Mtech Lighter. I know, great way to start the video, right? An Mtech. Basically, it's this little assisted opening. It actually has a strong little torsion bar there, however it works. Nice little drop point. Right there, liner lock. Pocket lip works fine, but you can put a lighter in here. It's like a big lighter knife. Which way does it go? Is that it? Cool. Sweet. Speaking of Mtech, let me show the other two I have. Mtech will always hold a special place in my heart. This one's like a rescue folder. I like those serrations on there, actually. And they're probably laughing it up. Haha, he likes it, Mtech. I bought this years ago as one of the first knives. I must have been like 12 years old or something. I was like, whoa, I want that one. It's cool. It's like a rescue knife. It's got a belt cutter. It's got a glass breaker. To be honest, those serrations actually are useful. This pattern, not the way it's executed, but the pattern right here actually kind of reminds me of the scallop serrations that a Kershaw does. I can't remember. And one more Mtech. See, it didn't even deploy. This is the MT129 Tonto Arctic Camo, heavy as hell. We have a G10 handle scale in there, also glass breaker and belt cutter right there. Interesting. Again, bought this many years ago. This model anyway, and just recently I picked another one up a few years ago for sentimental reasons because I broke the other one. Long story. More cheapies here. This is a Ozark, also not deploying well. It's another problem with these. You gotta give them a thwack to deploy them. One of the many issues with the cheaper knives, but it's a Ozark Trail. It's actually a really good quality for the money. I think this is the 4028 stonewash finish. Nice shape right there. G10 handle scales. Cheap, thin handle scales, but good attention to detail. Overall, it's pretty good finish. It's actually a really decent knife for the like $4 price tag or whatever it was back in the day. One of the best $4 knives out there for the money. Absolutely. I showed this one before. Got a lot of laughs about that. It's a Bass Pro / Cabela's knife. Another cheap one. Wooden handles are there, but it's functional. Yeah, it's like probably $10 value. I won it as a little gift when I worked at Bass Pro. It's sentimental value to me. I have that one too. Alright, so now we're stepping up to some slightly more expensive knives, getting up there in price. What do we got here? An Opinel. It's actually not that much more expensive, but it's a very functional knife. This is one of the carbon steel ones I got many years ago as well. Again, over probably like a decade ago now, somewhere around there. Really functional blade, actually extremely lightweight. This would be a great backpacking blade. No pocket clip or anything, but you can throw in your backpack or something. Basically add virtually no weight and you have a functional blade on there. Okie dokie, let's move on to the birds. Heck yes. Alright, no, sorry, this is a Sog Sawzilla I got recently. This was discontinued. Just found it in a gun store and I picked it up because I knew exactly what it was. Basically the Spyderco Endura Rip Off. It's very similar to the bird Caracara. This one's torsion bar is really weak. This is new, by the way, out of the box when I got it. I don't know what's wrong with it, and I can't adjust this pivot screw. I really chewed the crap out of it. It won't move, so I tried taking out the body screws, and this body screw at the bottom won't move either. So this knife's kind of crap out of luck, but keep it anyway. Alright, moving on to what is not the imposter, bird Caracara. This one's lightweight, Warncliffe. I like that combination right there, really cool. Cheap, functional blade. It's basically just a poor man's Endura, but basically everything's exactly the same other than the blade still. If you don't mind having the 8-13 MOV instead of the VG10, this is a great knife to have. Overall, just excellent. Excellent user. Bigger, I guess it's nicer brother. I don't know what I would call this. The G10 Caracara. This one happens to be the regular blade shape drop point. Is that a drop point? I don't know what you'd call that. But it's not a Warncliffe. Functions basically the same. If anything, it's slightly worse because it's a little bit heavier and doesn't flick out as easily, but well, actually, I'll take that back. It flicks out about as easy, but it is heavier and chunkier, but it is more solid and stronger, I guess, technically, but it's a little bit more expensive. Moving on to currently the only Spyderco I have, Resilience lightweight. Love this knife. I love the tenacious line. Of course, like the bigger blades, the resilience, of course, is going to be my favorite, but it's also the lightweight. We got the nice volcano grip on there. Excellent. Love this folder. Easily one of my favorites. One of my favorite EDC knives ever. Kershaw Od2. One of the oldest knives I have. Bought this maybe 2013 or something? 2012? Still got it. One of the best EDC knives. Not tactical, but EDC knife only. Really, really sweet. Lightweight. I like the OD mechanism right there. It's like a flipper, but you can flick it out without having a wrist movement or anything. Older brother, I just recently got a few days ago the OD1. These are discontinued as well. These are much harder to find, I think. Not like really rare or anything, but this one I got new in the box, so you can see right there. Wasn't terribly cheap, but not terribly expensive either. Frame lock, it does have a lock bar stabilizer on there. Also, OD mechanism, one of my favorite knives ever. I love that OD overdrive mechanism, they call it. There they are, finally got the older companion to it. Really cool. Another Kershaw. Chill. Great knife for the money. I think they still sell these. You get these for like 20 bucks, if not slightly cheaper, I think. Really awesome. A lot of blade to work. It's slim, solid, strong, fast if you deploy it correctly, not like I did there. Great EDC slash almost tactical blade you could lump that into. There's a chunkier Kershaw. No longer selling these. The Nerve, like this one. A lot to hold on to. Again, was affordable for the time. Love the blade shape. It's like I have no complaints with this knife. It's an all-around good EDC, solid knife. A lot to grip onto there. Cool. Here's a cheaper-ish knife. Schrade. Schrade's very interesting. They used to be much different until like maybe like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago when they were bought by Taylor Cutlery, I think. I might be getting the names wrong, but then they started being very innovative and trying different things. And some hits, some misses, but this is one of the more interesting knives. For like 15 bucks or so, you can get these still SCH 301 frame lock. It's like it mimics like a custom titanium frame lock, but it's very cheap. But it is a usable knife. I think it's got ACR13 MOV on there, so it's actually not a joke. Huge, heavy knife, yeah, but it's cool and cheap. So, speaking of Schrade, we got one more here. Another interesting design of theirs. I just recently picked this one up. Looks like a total toy. I know. Laugh, if you will. This is like the chameleon pattern. I think it's the... I can't even remember the name. One of those numbers. What a mess. The Shaw 3 CB. That's it. CB stands for chameleon black or something. The chameleon's talking about... It's like a purple spring green holographic handle scale. It's very interesting, actually. Completely functional folder. You know, it is a sharp blade. Good lockup. They have the magic system on here, they call it. It's basically just a switch that deploys the blade. It's assisted, but it is functional. It's cool, even though it looks like a total gimmicky kid's toy or something. I still like it. I still think it's cool because it is a functional knife at the end of the day. So we're going to review that one. OTF Lightning OTF. This is the only one I currently have. I think these are like 30, 40 bucks or so. These are great. They double action OTF. Good knife for the money. Great. Really cool. Gotta get a couple more of those. Let's move on to Boker. Here we go. Boker S2 Orange Edition. Really sweet. Boker S2 is one of my favorite knives ever. I love this massive, wide Santoku style blade here. Really cool. The Orange Edition was sold by Blade HQ, I believe, for a limited time. This is 248 out of the 600 that they sold. No idea what these go for now, but there you go. Another Boker. This one's discontinued. The Dark Hollow. Very, very interesting knife. These are very rare. They're not very sought after. They're not very popular, but they're extremely cool and interesting, I think. These Boker Dark Hollow. That's the name of this one. It was made for a short amount of time. I don't think it was very popular, but really cool. This one doesn't have the greatest lockup. There is some blade slop, and that is something a lot of people complain about. It's a titanium frame lock, and I guess titanium just doesn't play well with the steel. I don't know, but one of my favorite knives ever, though. It's just so cool. But another Boker, last Boker anyway, the Boker Kalishnikov XXL. Fully automatic button lock knife right there. Is not as practical as the standard version, and they have a mini version. This is the XXL. It's massive, actually. Almost, I think it's like a 5-inch blade on there. Absolutely ridiculous. Put it next to Resilience. Yeah, it dwarfs the Resilience. It's already a massive knife. It's huge. Really cool. Affordable, too. It's like 60 bucks or so. D2 blade still. Hell yeah. Great knife for the money. Really cool. Alright, let's get some cold steels out of the way, because I have a lot of cold steels here. If you follow my channel at all, oh, here we go, Mannix with the cold steels again. Yeah, buddy, they're my favorite knife company, so if you don't like the channel, you don't have to watch, sorry. But no, I like all knife companies for different reasons, but I just happen to have the most cold steels right now. Tough Light, glorified box cutting knife, basically overbuilt box cutter tool knife. I love it. Cheap, affordable, looks friendly, but can double as a tactical blade if you needed it to be in just such of an occasion. Tie Light, it's like a modern version of the Italian stiletto. Also really cool knife. Speaking of Tie Light, let's move in the bigger brother to the Tie Light 6-inch, or the Tie Light XL, whatever you want to call it. Technically, it's called the 6-inch. Really cool. It's only like $10 more to get a massive folder, really thick, a lot to hold on to. Not very practical. It'd be great for piercing, but it's not really good at much else, which is kind of the problem with it. It's kind of like a gimmicky, fun knife. It's still functional, it's just not the most practical. We have the Cold Steel Range Boss right here. Really cool knife. Cheap blade still on there, but it's very functional. Slim, skinny, strong, lightweight. It's a great knife overall. Cold Steel Raja 3 mini kukri folder right here. Really cool. Again, affordable. Good all-around EDC / tactical blade. A lot you can do with that one. Of course, who could forget the Cold Steel Recon 1? One of my favorite EDC / tactical folders ever. I keep going back to it over the last decade or so. Went through a lot of different changes on this knife, but it's one of my favorites to this day. Still, Tonto. Huge Tonto guy. I love Tontos. Old model Cold Steel AK-47 with the Ultra Lock. You may or may not be familiar with this one. This is going back a ways. This is a good condition one I found online. They're getting tricky to find, these old model Cold Steels. Speaking of old model Cold Steels, here's one more. Old model Recon 1 plain edge Tonto with the Ultra Lock as well. So you can do this thing. I heard rumors about the Ultra Lock being like patented by Benchmade because it's similar to their Axis Lock, but actually the internal mechanics of it are quite different from the Axis Lock. So I don't know what the story was. I don't know why Cold Steel got rid of the Ultra Lock knives. Maybe it was too similar to it, but new Recon 1, old Recon 1. Interesting comparison right there. Cold Steel Code 4 Tonto slim aluminum elegant blade. One of my favorite knives ever. I don't like how slick it is, but it's not meant to be like a tactical. I'm running through the mud and the rain, I'm sweating, and I'm trying to save my life or cut the rope off of someone else who's tied up. It's not one of those. It's kind of an elegant but strong knife at the same time. Really cool. Now, speaking of a knife that is a good rescue tactical option in a scenario I just mentioned, Cold Steel Voyager. Large Tonto, thick handle, iron cross design, very grippy, simple. Similar to the Recon 1 in some ways. A little thicker, but I would say a little bit lighter too, surprisingly. It's just one of those, it's not the most exciting knife or anything, but it's a good all-around, this knife can do everything badass kind of folder, which is cool. And mini Voyager Tonto as well. These are discontinued. AUS 8A blade still. They never upgraded it since then. And just since it's here, why don't we throw in the XL Tonto Voyager as well. Mama bear, Papa bear, baby bear. They're all here. Really cool trio of knives. Absolutely love the Voyager series. They're kind of boring. They're not like that interesting, but as far as users go, they're absolutely phenomenal. Great overbuilt, strong knives. Love it. Of course, the XL is my favorite. This is one of the first knives I got many years ago. Not this one specifically, but when I was first getting into higher quality knives that were not just Mtechs and stuff. One of the Cold Steel Voyager Cold Steel Voyager XL Tonto. This is one of the first knives I ever got back in the day. It must have been 2013, maybe 2012. Excellent. All right, let's shy away from Cold Steel for just a little bit. Gerber flat iron. Gerber is really hit and miss. Some of their knives are actually like really solid. Like this one's like $30, $40 price range, like lower priced budget knives, kind of in the same arena of CRKT and Kershaw. This one's actually really nicely made. Nice stonewash cleaver right there. Good lock bar stabilizer. Cool, just frame lock. Just cool knife. Love the pot clip on there. It just flicks out every single time. It's actually a really cool knife. You can find these at Walmart sometimes. Cool cleaver folder. CRKT. Never know what you're going to get with CRKT. Their knives sometimes don't even look like they're from the same company. It's because they collaborate with so many different knife makers and designers. So it happens to be the Outrage IKBS ball bearing system on there. It's really cool. It kind of looks like a shark. Something to be affordable. Again, I think it's another $35, $40 knife. Really comfortable. Flicks out every single time. Sexy, organic kind of lines on here. It's cool. Crkt Buku. It's like a stonewashed cleaver. No, sorry. It's like a stonewashed kukri, that's what I meant to say. Kind of slick and slippery. Frame lock. Internal lock bar stabilizer on there. That's kind of cool. Again, this was like $35, $40, but these are discontinued now, so who knows what price they're going to go up to. IKBS, smooth. It's a little too smooth. I mean, the knives is so slick. I wish there was some texturing. I don't need texturing on my knives, but this is an example of a knife I kind of want some. It's just cool, though. Another cool knife. And speaking of cool knives, Crkt Foresight. Heck yeah, it's one of my all-time favorites. Went through a lot of these. I really like this big, chunky, beefy IKBS smooth knife. No jimping or texturing, but it doesn't need any. It's just the molding of the handle shape itself. Just there's so much to grip onto. It's just feels great in the hand, as they say in the knife reviews, even though you're never really going to use your knife that way. You're just going to open it up like this and make one little cut and put it away. But it's still cool anyway. I love it. Absolutely love it. Speaking of cool knives I love, another Crkt Ritual assisted, but it's just so bizarre and wacky, but it's functional. I love that Persian style folder right there. The blue bolster is kind of cool. Really interesting. One of the most interesting knives I've seen. Again, not too expensive, $70, $80 or so. It's cool. Discontinued Crkt, the Eraser, another cool one. Big old chunky, beefy monster. Really, really awesome. Love this thing. And the final Crkt we have, the Gulf. Kind of reminds me of the Recon 1 in some ways, this guy I showed you, but it's a big old chunky, another monster, huge knife. Really, really cool. I knew I needed one as soon as I saw it. I just knew it was going to be a big monster of a folder, and I was right. That spine right there too, it's just cool. Sweet. Let's move us up here. Alright, it's time for the Cold Steel Rampage. I got more Cold Steels here. Pocket Bushman. Really interesting, cheap, but extremely strong folding knife. Really cool. Wouldn't carry this normally, even though you can, but it's not really its main purpose. Spartan. Classic Cold Steel design right here. Really sweet, big old chunky kukri. Waveable off the pocket, although I don't like how high riding the pocket clip is. I mentioned this before, but this is not a whole lot to grip onto, and it accidentally snags on your pocket, and you get it out in this position right here. I mean, that's not like going to help you too much, but it's still cool. It's a cool fondling blade. Cold Steel 4MAX Scout, one of my favorites ever. It's kind of similar to the Spartan in its size, but it's very simple. Not exactly that exciting looking, but it's a really strong, tough, thick, beefy, heavy folding knife, and it's a lot more practical than the Spartan. It's one of my favorites, actually, now. I love that stonewash finish. Triad lock, big old pocket clip. Really grippy, just awesome. They're awesome Cold Steel. Speaking of awesome Cold Steels, Cold Steel Luzon, or Luzon, or it's called the XL size, 6-inch blade size. This is the bigger version. Leaf spring lock, locks that liner lock in place. These are like, I found this is cheap for like $29.99 on Amazon. 8CR13 MOV blade steel, skeletonized steel liners. For that price, you cannot beat this as far as a defense knife goes. This is absolute insanity. Great knife right there for the money. Cold Steel Raja 2. This one has the CTS BD1 blade steel on it. Big old kukri. It's a big brother to the Raja 3. Had this one for a few years now. It's one of my favorites. Cold Steel Holdout 1. Awesome, awesome blade. Let me clean up those smudges, however those got there. Really cool. Very simple. Just G10. This one had the AOS 8A blade still on it. They upgraded to the S35VN. Lightweight, balanced, just awesome fighting knife. Really cool. Simple but effective. Speaking of which, this is a similar knife in some ways. The Talwar. Just got this one recently. Got more smudges on there, looks like. Large Talwar. This is the AOS 8A version as well. Previous model. It's not similar by any means, but it is by its materials. It's G10 and steel triad lock. As far as that goes, it is a very similar blade, but they're shaped quite differently. This is one of my favorites. Gotta do a review on that one soon. Oh, so cool. Love those XL cold steels. Speaking of XL cold steels, Espada, the G10 version. I know there's another version that has G10 in it. I just call this one the G10 version because it's just plain G10 slabs. I think there's steel liners in there too. It feels... No, there's not actually. Well, it feels heavy. G10 can get very, very heavy. One of my favorites ever. Love that rhino horn style blade. It's just really cool. Speaking of the other Espada, here it is. One of my pride and joy knives. Same exact knife, except it's nicer blade steel. Absolutely love this knife. Awesome. And we got the other old set of Voyagers. Here's the medium, Tonto, large, Tonto. Haven't seen these before. That's the older model of the Voyagers. Back pre-2011 or so. Here's the XL. So I got the old and the new, medium, large, and XL, except for the X2. They don't make a new version of this. This is one of the biggest cold steels ever before they came out with some even bigger ones, and I'll show you another one in just a minute here, but X2, these are awesome. They don't make these anymore, again. Old model Voyager X2. They don't make a new model X2. It's just massive, lightweight folder. It's just really cool. No triad lock, though, just a lock back, which is one big disadvantage. Just got a few more to show you here. Broken Skull, another cold steel. They don't make these anymore. This is new in box. I'm trying to be more careful with it. But it's an awesome knife. It's pretty much the exact same knife as the Range Boss, wherever I put that one. I don't know where it is. There we go. Exact same knife, except it's got a much better blade. So this is the CTS XHP. I think later they upgraded to S35BN. This one's got 4034 SS by Crkt, I think. Exact same shape, though. So this one's got G10 instead of FRN and better blade still. But other than that, it's an outstanding folder too. But here's a blast from the past. The Bella Song. Just kidding. It's the Cold Steel Paradox. It opens up like a Bella Song, but it's got spring tension handles in there, kind of like slip joints, so you can't freely flip it around. That would be awesome to flip around, but you can't. It's like a legal balisong, basically. Really strong locking mechanism once it's open. There's no way it's going to disengage on you. But it's a very slow deploying knife. These are really cool, but I don't know how popular they were. They stopped making them quite a while ago. But I got this one new in box recently, so that's kind of cool. Speaking of paradoxes, got another one to show you here. The XL version. I don't remember what they called it, but it's a 5.5-inch blade, I think. Massive. I'm scared of opening these things. I don't like the tension on those slip joints, but awesome pair right there. It's like legalizing the locking mechanisms on these things made them even more dangerous than balisongs actually were. How about that? Alright, there's only one more knife, and I have never handled one of these, never had one before. It just came in, and it is time for the unveiling. The XL Espada. If you thought this one was already huge, it is, but there's a bigger one. So we're going to experience this together. I've never had one of these before. I know, a huge cold steel fan, never had one. Oh, here it is. Here's that second pocket clip. Wow. It's massive. Holy crap. It's even bigger than I thought it was. I know, that's what she said. Such an old joke, but I still like it. I mean, it's funny. Gadzooks. That is just enormous. It's heavier than I thought it would. It's a massive, massive. This is the biggest folding knife I've ever handled. It's the biggest one in my collection right now. That's insane. Absolute insanity. You gotta have a knife in person to appreciate it. I thought it was just gonna be, I imagined it just to be a longer version of this large Espada, which is already massive, but it's actually wider too. It's comically huge. This is a comically huge. Look at that, it's enormous. I thought it was gonna be longer. It's actually wider. Holy crap. You fit an entire hand. You can literally hold this with two hands, like a little. It's like a mini sword. That is insanity. Would I carry this? I'll carry it occasionally, but not for use. No. That's why this knife is in such an odd spot. It is absolutely functional. It does have that tri-lock. It is strong. It is fully functional. If you're talking about defenses in your hand, heck yes, this is what I would take with me. You'd win pretty much any knife fight as long as you got it deployed and you were holding it. But other than that, what are you going to use it for? Nothing really. That's why this is when we kind of get to comically huge territory. Finding its use is a little tricky, but it's still cool to have. That's a great use to have for it. Just having it is freaking awesome. Absolutely. So.